Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jarek Bryan Show. I'm your host, Jarek, and in this show, we talk about all the topics that matter to us. And in today's show, we have a very special guest. We have Crypto Latina. And Crypto Latina, how you doing?
Doing good. Thank you. How are you? I appreciate the invite.
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you on the show and everything like that. But, kind of before we get into everything that you've been doing, right, in Web3 and everything like that, how'd you start your journey all the way here to Web3? And what got you here?
It's crazy. It's a funny story. Back, I want to say, I'm trying to think what year it was. It had to be 20. Well, it started probably about 2021, but 2022 is kind of when I actually joined my partner at that time. He would tell me about crypto all the time. And crypto this and crypto that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I honestly was so tired of hearing about crypto.
Yeah.
Until one day we were just sitting in the bed and watching a YouTube live. And I actually watched Pablo. He used to be the community leader for Volinu. And I listened to him and I was like, okay, he's a Latino, and he was talking about how the project was for the 99% person, for the regular person. So I kind of caught my attention too. So I was just, pretending I wasn't listening. And from there, that just kind of piqued my interest. And I was just like, and I already had a YouTube channel. So for a while I had was not struggling, I guess you could say, kind of struggling finding content for my channel, vlogs. I was doing all kinds of stuff. And then I'm a little bit crazy. So I was just like, I'm like, I probably could do that. And I remember watching Space Chick, which I know you've had on your channel too. And I was like, hey, women are doing this too. And to summarize it, I remember reaching out to her and I was like, you think I could do you think I could do content for crypto? She's like, yeah, girl, you could do it. And I was like, okay. And then my crazy ass, the next day, I started doing videos and, I had got already into Volt and they had this thing going on in Park City. And then I just started doing content. So really, I heard about crypto and then I saw that there was a space for me to be able to talk about it. I got excited about the community. And that's really what kind of just reeled me into where I'm at now, which is crazy. I don't know how much you want to know because it's a whole journey, but that's kind of how I got into this space.
Oh, no, yeah. And that's great. You're I remember seeing your content too, kind of early bull run and everything like that. And I saw you, of course, with Volt and everything like that. But, kind of what also want to talk to you about too is that, kind of in this bear market, right? We've it's been kind of tough, right? And even me, too, it's been really, really bad. Trying to get views right on certain crypto content and everything like that. How have you kept your head above water in this bear market and creating content for crypto?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. For myself personally, like I said, when I started doing content, was really when I got into crypto more so, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, it was more I'm gonna be honest, I have not experienced a bull run, so I can't tell you, but I will tell you that this bear market, which, in these past, I'm just going to be almost 2 years, I believe, in April, doing content. I've taken a lot of time to learn, right? To learn what this was, how this worked. And Volinu being that, I'm going to talk about Volinu because that's the reason why I'm here, to be honest with you. But the way the developer and the team started building this project in the bear market made it to a degree easy for us, because I know it was kind of I always talk about this in my spaces, we're kind of waiting for the bull run, especially if you've never experienced it, right? But I think with all the building and marketing and being able to create content, to be honest with you, in those 2 years, I don't know how he did it, but there was always something to talk about. And I think it was just that building process that just helped me just kind of it helped the whole community. Okay, well, we're in a bear market, but hey, we have partnerships, we have marketing, we have sponsorships. And that's really kind of what kept me afloat, and I think the whole community, because we were just consistently doing something. He was building this solid foundation, and that kept us kind of going, if that makes sense. So that's kind of even learning it too. And I'm not gonna lie. At one point, you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna take out this utility. Now it's time. But when you actually take time to study crypto and how it works, you understand that you can have a great project. But there's Bitcoin. There's ways this goes, right? So that really, honestly, and that's kind of where I kind of kept building as well myself, my channel, my content, and just kind of that really, to me, is what has kept me till this day, because I haven't experienced a bull run. I'm super excited about it, but during these past 2 years, it's just kind of been building, and it's been exciting too.
And speaking of that, right, this kind of bull run coming up, because we have the happening. Looks to be somewhere April, March, right, and kind of that sweet spot, right? We kind of don't know, more or less, though, right? One, how excited are you for this bull run, right? And two, like, have you, like, what are some of the things you've done to prepare yourself for this bull run?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, these past year since I've been here, it's given me time to learn and educate myself more, and that's why I say that as well in my spaces or anything that I'm doing. I think I always say this for myself. I'm super excited about it, especially when you've lived a life kind of per se of lack, right? You're not used to big money and stuff like this, and now you have this opportunity, like they say, for the regular person, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's an exciting feeling, and I know for myself, I'm still learning. I've been doing this for almost 2 years, but there's still so much to learn. We always say we're early in crypto, but I think now that we feel the sentiment of the bull market, I don't think we're in the full effect of the bull run, but we're in that bull market, right? You're like, okay, it's here. It's like, I think for myself, it's just continuing to educate yourself. Like, are you prepared as far as on your investments, right? Like, do you have those sell orders? Do you have a plan of how you're going to strategically like transfer the money? Because there's so much behind investing. And I always tell people, and I think a lot of people, especially if you're new investors, you're like, let me invest and how can I become rich? But you're not understanding, wait, are you ready when that money's here? Like, what are you going to do when it's there? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's, I think, what I always tell people that you have to do, because that's what I have to still continue to do. Are you ready? And not just that, I'm huge with mental health. So like your mindset also has to be in the right place as well, so that you don't finally get to this point and then you blow off the money, right? Or you're back to square one. So there's so much behind that. That's why I tell people who sit there and complain and I'm like, look, in my opinion, and I always say this, God, universe, whatever your belief is, I feel like they've extended this bear market long to give us an opportunity, because wealth transfer, crazy stuff is coming, I think, in the next years, and we have to be ready. And to me, just educating, continuing to learn, and just being prepared, like in the behind the scenes, like on your wallets, on ledgers, security, so much. That's really it. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And kind of like with it too, because like, through this bear market, I've gotten hacked a couple of times too as well. So kind of like learning like those hard lessons, right? And that's good that you're kind of getting yourself ready for that. I honestly, as I kind of prepare for this and everything like that, I hope to see, an uptick, right? I think there's going to be, right, in views and of course, like, content and whatnot. So I can't really wait for that. Maybe make some IRL events and whatnot. But Crypto Latina, as we're talking about like Volt Inu, right? Like, was that like on like you said it was your first project that actually kind of like got you into crypto? Like, what about it kind of like drew you in and it's kept you here this long?
Yeah. So I always say this in my spaces too. Like I said, I just recently, I want to say it's been a few months. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't even know what time it is. But since I've transitioned from YouTube to spaces, we talk about this on a regular. Like, I feel like to myself, and I feel grateful that I found this project. And I know there's a lot of projects out there. Of course, obviously, I'm bullish on Volt Inu because this is what has given me the opportunity to work with Volt Inu, and but for myself, it was that live that I saw, right? That kind of reeled me. And I saw, and I'll be honest with you, I saw there was Latinos, there was diverse. I was just like, okay, yeah. So that kind of reeled me in. And then the community 100%. And for myself in these almost 2 years, I've seen, like I said, I've learned a lot, but I've also seen the growth of this community. Like, you get into crypto, you see how it could get crazy, it could get wild, it could get toxic, it could get negative, all of that. And for myself, there were times, I'm not going to lie, there were times that I'm like, I think I'm done with crypto. This is too much for me, especially when you're a content creator, right? Or you're 24/7. But again, I think when you fall back and you just kind of look at the bigger picture and you just kind of stay in your lane to a degree, right? But it's been a beautiful thing to see this community grow, like to mature. And I always say this in all my space. I'm like I'm in my life, I'm a huge believer that we have to continue evolving as human beings, right? And to see a community that has grown and matured, no matter what has been thrown at it, no matter who's come, who's left, who's doubted it, who's all this craziness, right? Because that happens in crypto, that happens in communities. We're still here, we're strong. And I feel like at this point, we've kind of shifted to just like we're a DAO, so now it's just literally the community running this project. I mean, Voltoshi, the developer's in the back doing his thing, right? He's putting out those utilities, he's working still hard. But us, the community, is keeping this afloat by bringing something different to the space, meaning good energy. Like we're incorporating mental health, which that's been huge to me too. This platform has allowed me to like bring that part of me, which is something I love, and it's allowing me to bring that into the space. So I think it's just the opportunity, seeing the growth, maturity, just has just keeps me here still. Of course, I have other investments, of course, but I work together with Inu, so this is what I'm consistently talking about. But that to me is kind of what's kept me here, and we're still, I feel like we're just still starting, and not just that, and also being a solid project, having a great developer who delivers everything he says, so it's exciting. It's exciting times. So hopefully that answered your question. Sorry, I can go on for days.
No, definitely. I love it that though, right? But kind of like with Bolt Eno, right? It kind of started out as like, I've done research, right? It kind of started out like as this Disney dog, right? Kind of a meme coin, right?
Right.
But it's kind of like transitioned to something kind of like different, right? Like honestly, you can't really, I don't know what category to put it in, because you can't really call it a meme coin, right? Because meme coins, to me, the definition of it is just more of like, like fun, not really building things. But you guys got building a lot of things. You got a game, you got a card, you got so many different utilities with it. Like, what category would you put Bolt Eno?
That's a funny question. Well, not funny. It's a great question. We talk about this as well, how in my eyes, and again, I'm not financial advisor, right? I have to say that.
Yeah.
But no, I think, again, I have to go back to the developer. And the reason I talk about him is because you know how the space is, right? If you have a dev that's not docs, people talk and they're like, oh, why isn't he doc? But at this point, we don't care. We know one thing, that he always delivers in everything he says since day one till this day. And one thing that he is doing or has done, and I had a space actually with this topic on it, is changing the narrative to meme coins. I think to a degree, we're proud to still say, hey, we're a meme coin, but we were changing the whole narrative of a meme coin, right? A lot of people, we call our Bitcoin blue chip. Obviously, if you categorize it statistically, or legally, or however you want to say it, we're still known as a meme coin. But I feel like we've matured, even from the Disney dog, right?
Yeah.
When we started, people were like, Disney dog, okay, they didn't take it serious. Now we've kind of grown to a wolf, right? Yeah. I mean, that's funny, but I'm saying, I just think you're right. And people who have been following Volt know the growth in this project, and again, the utility. We were just talking about it this morning in the space, like how I think Voltoshi just works very strategically. He's thinking ahead of time, because if we're just on facts, we know Bitcoin is Bitcoin, right? And that's not going anywhere. Ethereum, all those big assets, right? So if you're a meme coin and you're coming into this space, you have to do something different to stay long term. And that's what Voltoshi has done, and the Volt Inu team, and what we've done with this project, and with the utilities that have come out and everything. So, I mean, I don't want to say it's a blue chip, because you can't categorize it, but for us, it is. It's like a meme blue chip. I don't know. I don't even give it a title. Yeah, we're doing
it in its own category, but we're starting to see, like, I guess, quote unquote, meme coins starting to be more accepted, right? We had AVAX with, and I always laugh saying this, right? But we have AVAX with Kakinu, right? They had, but they call them culture coins now, right? And that's kind of more of like AVAX. The AVAX Foundation itself has said, like, hey, we're going to put money into this. We think of it as like, a part of the culture, right? Part of the AVAX culture. So, as we're talking about all these meme coins that have popped up, right? Like Pepe, Bonk, God knows who else, right? Do you think meme coins are actually good for the space though, right? Because a lot of people say that, they're trying to become more legitimate, right? And then we kind of present our case. But then you have these meme coins that are like, I don't know, just some, I think the other day, I think it was like one with like Sonic with tits or something like that. It was like these stupid meme coins, right? Like, do you think they're good for the space?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you look at everything, I feel like people say they're not going to last, but I mean, everybody is chiming into meme coins. Let's be real. I mean, and everybody's, I think, intention is different, if you want to say it that way. Like, some people come in it just to make a quick buck. All they want is, what can I put my money in to make quick money, and that's something that's different with Volt Inu, right? Because there's a lot of projects, like I said, and I'm not knocking nobody, because I have, obviously I talk about Volt, but I have my investments to the side, of course, and everybody that we're here, we're investors, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the meme coins I feel like they're still going to be around. Now, the difference, I feel like, is, and we talked about this again in another space of asking, how do we think this is going to be the last bull run unregulated, right? Now that, I think, if that, once that changes and regulations come in, that might change the whole, as much, all these crazy people starting on meme coins, right? That's going to make a difference. But once again, I feel like that's why what we're doing here is important, to put something there that's going to let this meme coin last, right? But people definitely, it's part of crypto now. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people hate it, a lot of people don't like it, but then low key they're invested in meme coins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just really looking at what you're investing in, what kind of project is it, what's the roadmap, like what are they actually doing, the vision, the mission, the developer, what, you know what I'm saying, how long they've been around. So I'm
Yeah.
still going to be around.
Crypto Latina, I know you're in the vault, right? And you have that's kind of like your main project. But do you have anything else you're like really bullish on that you want to talk about? Like maybe like I don't know, like VeChain or something like that, or Cardano. Like, are you invested in other projects as well?
I am. It's funny. I never really talked about this because I always, but no, I mean, definitely I have, of course, XRP, XLM. We have, oh my God, I can pull up my thing here, but I definitely have other investments, we got HR, I mean, there's a lot of, that's why I say.
It's a nice portfolio.
Yeah. And I feel like, and I've been doing the whole DCA and I'm huge with that as well. Cause I think sometimes people look at the bigger, like, even Bitcoin, sometimes you think of Bitcoin, you're like, oh, well, dang, I'm never going to be able to have a Bitcoin. But then when you educate yourself and you're like, well, you can invest in fractions, you can like, you know what I'm saying? And depending on what your portfolio looks like, if you have other great investments, hey, when that money comes in, then you will be able to invest in the bigger, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? Yeah. So I'm all for that. Like, I know there's some people who are so territorial on just one. Like, I work with Volt, but I'm not like, I'm not like, oh my God, I don't have anything else. Cause you have to just be honest with yourself. If we're investing, you want to make sure you invested in the right projects, right? And have those right assets. And so, yeah, for sure. I have several different investments. And like I said, I think it's just important to educate yourself, continue to understand what this project is going to do for the future. Does it have real utility? What is it going to do? Like XLM, like, I always talk about the evolution of technology as well. You're looking at where we are now. I mean, crypto, using these platforms, it's like in a matter of seconds, and you have to see what it's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
You can't say for certain, but at least when you do take your time to learn, you're like, okay, this is probably going to be here for a long time. Other versus maybe like people who invest in a lot of like just playful meme coins that just come out in the hype, right? And maybe they have made money with it, for that. But I know for myself, I want life-changing generational wealth, and I know crypto's the future. So you have to make sure your like investments are in the right place. So, and you might not win on everything for sure. Like we can't get it right all the time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But again,
I definitely haven't. But as we kind of go into like this too as well, like Crypto Latina, I know you probably get approached by other projects too as well, and I'm pretty sure you said no and whatnot. But like in kind of like reading some of these projects that approach you, right, to go with like do whatever content or whatever the case may be, like what are some of your red flags or some of the things you'd be like, you know what, that's going to be a no from me? Can you tell like the audience like some of your red flags on some projects, or what are the things you look for?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm just going to be 100% transparent with you. Like I even just recently, I had a few people message me. There was this one project, I won't say the name, right? But they were so persistent. And don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like, it's flattering when somebody does reach out to you and you're like, hey, you want to work with us and we'll pay you this much. And I'm not going to lie, the money, I was like, oh, okay, I could use a little more money, because we're all waiting for this bull run. But I think to me, that kind of bothered me, just the everyday answer us. Are you like, I was just like, whoa, and not just that, I feel like you do have to be open for opportunity, especially like when you do what you do and I do, you create content, to be able to, I'm not going to just, and I've done it in the past where they're like, hey, will you do a video for us? We'll pay you whatever it is, $300 or whatever. And I've done that in the past, but you learn that too. Cause like, I'm not going to just, although the money is good to have extra money, but I don't want to represent or do a video on a project that I don't know about. I'm not sure about, like, you know what I mean? Even though you can say, hey, this is sponsored, this is a paid, but this crypto world is so crazy that I feel like when they're so persistent, like if you're a good project, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's some that maybe are just starting and want help promoting or whatever the case may be. But that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I was like, okay, I am busy because I am, with life and then crypto and stuff. I'm like, so I just need time to kind of look at it and see, because I don't, and I said that straight up to them. I'm like, I want to make sure, like, although, the money, whatever you're offering me, but I want to make sure it's something, I don't want to tell people about anything just because, or to be that person. So to me, that kind of threw me off, and ultimately I declined it because I was just like, number one, I don't have time, and then if you guys are so like, I'm like, I don't want to, so, and I'll be honest with you, like, I don't know how to explain this, Jared. Like, I'm so passionate about mental health, and like I said, this is helping me. This platform is helping me with that. So, with my investments that I have, I'm not like crazy about, oh my God, let me get all these projects so I can get more money. I don't, you know what I mean? I'd rather stick with maybe what I'm doing now. And I mean, hey, if there is a good opportunity, I'm not saying that I wouldn't like think about it, but ultimately I have also other projects or dreams, things that I'm working towards, like expanding me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know if that makes sense.
No, 100%. And I definitely like that part. But as we kind of get into like the content creation too, as well. One, like, you said that point of like, hey, like, I'm gonna go ahead and do this, right? And you jumped right in there. What tips would you give somebody that's much like you, right? That was like, man, maybe not, maybe I should, right? Like, what tips would you give that person that's starting out their own podcast or YouTube channel or space or anything?
Yeah, honestly, I would just say just do it, because I mean, I know it sounds like random, but like it is, and of course everybody's personality is different, right? Like now the more I look at myself, like in the past, I'd be looking at videos, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just crazy. Like literally, when I decided the next day I had a video, I remember Pablo at that time, he one time he invited me to his channel, and he's like, so where did you come out of? He's like, who are you? Like, but I think if I could give advice, it's just like, if you are passionate about it, right? Like if you're like, you know what, I think I could do this, or can I do this, or you're doubting yourself, just be like, you know what, like you have to believe in yourself. Because I feel like sometimes, even with social media, on X, on everywhere, like sometimes we doubt ourselves because of what are people going to think? Or am I going to be good enough? Are people going to come to watch my channel, or, my content, whatever? And I say this, Jarek, because I've been doing this for a minute. Like I'm huge in social media, podcasts, all that stuff. So it's like, I feel like you just have to believe in yourself, because if you don't, then you're never going to pursue what you really want to do. So, and we're humans, right? Like I remember having lives where you're like, is anybody going to show up? There's one person. I did a space the other day for my mental health, Real Talk with Me. I was like, okay, it's 10 minutes and not one person showed up. And, I'm like, okay, I'll try next. But I think I'm at a point where that doesn't bother me anymore. I know it takes time to build like a platform. And I feel like if you're passionate enough about it and you're consistent, it's going to come. Like, it's gonna gravitate to the right people are gonna gravitate to you, if that makes sense. So I would just say, just believe in yourself and do it, And once again, and if you have questions on how should I start it, there's everything's out there, right? Like everything's on YouTube, everything's everywhere where you can like, okay, maybe I need to get some tips and tricks or ideas. Just keep learning, but ultimately just be yourself, because I feel I've learned that brings more people to you. It might not be everybody, the masses, and certain people, the right people are gonna gravitate to you. So hopefully that was like a long tip, but
no, I love it. And I've had this, recently, and I'm pretty sure you've had this too as well, right? When like, you're kind of like doing content, right? And you're kind of just at this crossroad, right? Like, man, should I do this? Should I not? Right? Like, what kept you going? Like, what is the thing that kept you kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and see this kind of through, though, even though that no one's really kind of showing up. I'm not getting as much views as I used to get, right? Like, what made you push through?
Yeah, I'll tell you. These are great questions, because it's something that I definitely have experienced. And even me transitioning to spaces, one thing with myself, and I've said this several times already, but I'm going to repeat it because it's something that I'm just going through, right? Learning this crypto space, and even with Volinu, even the space in itself has, again, opened the platform for me, which I love. I'm passionate about mental health, personal growth. My slogan is right here. Your number one investment is you. Don't forget about that. So I know, like with my lives, when I was doing the morning shows on my YouTube, I would always start, and I still do, start my shows with motivational videos, right? And I noticed when I started doing that, like my views kind of were less, and like not that many people were showing up, and even on spaces, right? But then, and there was times that I did doubt, like I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should just focus on what I really am passionate about, But I stuck with it. One person, if it was one person that would be like, Latina, I appreciate what you're doing, I really needed that. To me, that kept me going. So, and I know we're talking about crypto, but I just have to tell you, I'm telling you my
No, I
journey.
love it. I love it. No, we can talk about anything,
Yeah,
anything on
yeah.
this.
So for me, that was kind of like a, but now that I've been in here doing this for a minute, like I'm embracing it. And I feel like people are too. And there still might be people who are like, oh, I'm not going to go to her space because she's going to always talk about motivational stuff. But to me, like even with Volt, like, I don't know if you know, but we have a crazy schedule. Like we have people hosting spaces every day, all day, Monday through Monday. Like there's something about Volt, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's super bullish. But for me, I'm like, hey, I think I'm just the type of person that I get bored quickly. So, and if I see something, if I see it's just repetitive, like I'm like, I need to bring something different. And I'm always thinking like that. So even in my spaces, I always start with motivational video and we talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm now recently, I'm trying to bring in more real topics, even in my Volt spaces. And I'm getting compliments. They're like, I like what you're doing because real stuff. I'm bullish. We already know I'm bullish on Volt. We're going to talk about updates and we're going to still talk about it. But let's talk about your mental. Are you mentally ready for this bull run? Are you mentally, like, you know what I'm saying? There's so much. So for me, that has kept me going because, there's been a lot of times that I doubted myself because I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should step away from crypto. But I'm super grateful that I've been able to embrace it and people are embracing it. And I see it. Like, it's really nice to see, even though they don't say it, but you do make an impact because now we talk more about real stuff in spaces. Now people are appreciating and understanding that this is necessary. So I'm grateful for it. But definitely there's been self-doubt, but I feel like you just have to keep pushing it. And especially if you're passionate about something. If you get excited about creating content, hosting spaces, then keep doing it. Like, even if it's one person that shows up, two people, trust me, like you're going to impact people. And that's what I've embraced.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I love that part, and I love the fact that you're doing like the whole mental health aspect of it too, as well, because mental health actually, well, of course, in life, right, but in Web3 in general, it does get kind of crazy because we're here, right? We've been in this bear market, right? We're kind of just talking about almost the same things, right? We're kind of just at each other's throats, right? The projects that we've been in have not, exponentially grown like we thought they were, right? And so you're just kind of like, man, am I going to get this life changing money? Like, did I miss it? Right. And, I definitely like the fact that you're doing that. And when are these mental health spaces or like, do you have like them separate, or where can people find those?
Yeah. So when I host my Volt ones, I'm like, now I'm trying to keep it Monday through Friday. It is kind of getting a little, not overwhelming, but I'm pretty busy like now. I incorporate the mental health with even my Volt spaces, but I do have on Wednesday nights at, oh my gosh, sorry, I went 8:30. That's 9:30. It'd be 10:30. Sorry, I get so confused with all the time zones. I'm Mountain Time, so I'm always having to go to Eastern. So 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I have Real Talk with Cynthia, which that one's just mental health. Like, we're talking about real life topics, and that's the only one I have like just designated for that. But any space that I do, honestly, I always, they know I'm going to incorporate something that has to do with life, because you said something right now. It's true. Like, and I say this in the spaces. I'm like, guys, make sure you're paying attention to what spaces you are tuning into, because I know you've experienced it, but you go into spaces that are negative or going at it with each other or just tearing people down. And it's like, I always talk about, we want abundance. We want this wealth. You have to be it as well. Like, you have to see who you're listening to, who you're surrounding yourself with, right? Even in on X, like, what spaces are you tuning into? You know what I mean? All that's important. So yeah, so that's what I have as far as just for mental health. That's the only thing I have like specifically for that. But I mean, I incorporate it, like, even right now. Anything I do, I'm always going to bring something up because I think it's important,
Definitely, because like I said, like, even I had to take like a step away for like, not like, there's times I do kind of step away because, like, oh geez, man, I'm getting a little bit too, like, how can you say, defensive, and things like that, right? And then you're always worrying about like content, and definitely it's a good idea to kind of step away and take time. But also, what I also want to talk about too, though, right? Crypto Latina, right? The Latino culture, right? Of course, I'm Latino too as well, right? How's it been? Huh?
I said, oh, cool. I didn't know that. You never know.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I love, the fact that, more Latinos like in crypto itself, though. But have you had like, how has it been kind of onboarding like family, friends, onto crypto, or do they kind of get it just yet? Or I don't know, what, has there been any kind of barriers for you, or has it been fairly easy?
No, I'll tell you what, even just with my kids, I have older kids, and because of what we've gone through, and divorced your dad and all this stuff, whatever, financially, even from me, for myself, growing up with my parents, like it was always kind of like, paycheck to paycheck, just never really taught the right way finances. So for myself, when I was with my kids, after the divorce and stuff, like we did struggle a lot financially. It was really hard times those years. And I think now that I'm in crypto, they see me that I'm consistent in this, but I think it's still kind of like, they don't say no anymore because they see that I'm still here. But I feel like they're kind of still kind of like, let's wait and see if this is going to work. You know what I mean? And I tell them, and now even me creating content, like I'm just like my son, I'm like, mijo, because he tells me, oh, mom, I spent this on dumb money. I'm like, Eddie, I'm probably shouldn't say his name. Well, it doesn't matter. But invest. I'm like, instead of spending dumb money on stuff you don't need, even if it's $20, or like I can't force them. They're my kids, right? So, but I feel like they're still because they're the closest to me. That's the reason why I'm talking about them. They're kind of like, oh, well, we're gonna see, if mom, and they do have some investments that we've given them, right? But and for my family as well. I mean, they know, but I don't know if they've grasped onto it 100%, and I feel like we still have time. And I think for us, it is our duty to share with our family. But at the end of the day, you can't force anybody, right? I had a girl on a space, she was Latina too. And she just recently started speaking up, and she's like, man, she's like, in Mexico, like, my family is just so poor. Like, I want to just break these generational chains of like poverty, and I want it to be different, and I don't want to leave anybody behind, And she was almost got emotional. She's like, how do we do this? And to be honest, all we were talking about was like, you know what? You can share with them. You can't force anybody. Now, if you have a little bit extra right now, that depending on what you're invested in, you're like, let me open it back for you. Or, hey, they were joking around saying, let me borrow $20, and then invest for them. There's different ways to do it. But ultimately, we can't force anybody. We can share. Like now, I'm trying to transition my Instagram page to start posting about what I do here with the intent of telling people, hey, crypto's the future. Like, time's limited, But again, you can't force anybody, unfortunately.
I noticed though that you have I don't know, maybe you're in a space though, but it kind of came across like right when I was kind of I don't know where. No, it was definitely a space though, but it was an all Spanish space. Is that something you still kind of do, or? And has that been gaining more traction as of late?
Yeah. So actually, so now with Volt that we have so many people hosting and it's just very, very active. We're tapping more into the Spanish community. I always say this and it makes me giggle, but it's something that just stayed with me. It goes to show you how words matter, right? What people say. But when I was doing YouTube more actively, I had a Latino person. I can't remember who it was. He commented on one of my videos and he's like, if your name's Crypto Latina, why aren't you speaking Spanish? And I was like, oh my gosh. But no, but you know what? It stuck with me because I was like, he's right. Like, why did I put Latina? I didn't have to put Latina if I didn't want to, And that kind of pushed me to like, okay, you need to like start pushing out more Spanish content. And now with Volt growing like that, we've started Spanish spaces on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I host the Thursday one. And it's been really good. And then myself, I'm actually with that in mind, because we've had people who even join those spaces and are like, we need more Spanish, we need more Spanish spaces, more. I'm launching actually a new space podcast in March. I'm going to have a space on X, and then I'm going to come back on my YouTube as well and start interviewing. This is going to be not like Volt. It's going to be just in general. Like I really want to, because I've been looking at so many talented Latinos. I mean, you have NFT creators, projects or just people doing something in the space. So it's called Cultura Web 3. And I'm super excited about that. So next month, I am going to launch that and interview, because spaces are really cool because anybody can speak. But to me, there's something different from doing this. Like, even if it's not in person, but at least, you're seeing someone's face. It's a little more. And then when it comes to like NFT creators, artists, or anything like that, I feel like they need to be highlighted more. So if you actually an interview like right now, like we're doing, and be like, okay, how did you start this? And they show their art, their whatever they're doing. So I'm excited about that. So that's going to be all in Spanish. So starting March, I'm going to be going a little harder, with Spanish speaking spaces and YouTube.
Definitely though, because there's been like, my Spanish isn't that great, not enough to do like a full interview like this though. But there has been a couple of projects that I have talked to that says like, hey, you can tell they're using a translator. Like, I would love to be on your show, but I'm not very confident with my English. And, and there were some quality projects and I was like, damn, You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And it would just, I was like, man, I really wish I could, tap into that more. But maybe that's something you can tap into as well. So I'm excited to see that.
yeah.
And
And I think
you know,
that's what it's about growth, right? And I feel like
yeah,
because now with the space, and this is how I feel like I'm slowly, organically growing because I am expanding. I talked to another friend that she's Latina in the space too, and we might start a space. Oh my god, I have so many things going on. We might
good.
actually start another space with her, kind of like she's Latina, something like kind of vibe with a Latina, something like that. I don't know. We're just trying to do something to bring out that because we're Latinas to bring out that community more. But you see artists who I mean, I commend them for even speaking English. They speak good English, but they struggle a little bit with,
Yeah.
and I would say I speak perfect Spanish, but I mean, I think I do pretty well. But they do say like, man, I don't mind going into English spaces, but when you speak your native language, I feel like they could even express themselves better, especially if they're artists and if they have projects or whatever it is, So that's something I'm super excited about. So in collaborating, with the Latinos is something important too, because we have to grow this space, and there is actually a big Latino community.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
No, you're 100% right, and I love the fact that you're definitely doing that. But also too, though, kind of like women content creators, right? Back when I kind of first started, there wasn't really like a ton, right? But now we're starting to see more of an uptick too, and I'm a big fan of women in Web3. For you, in your own opinion, has it gotten better for you in the space? And maybe you had some. We can talk about some of the struggles you had kind of early when you kind of first started.
yeah. So I do feel like the space is being more open to women, or I don't know if I should say open or just women are stepping up more in this space.
Yeah.
Maybe we should say it that way. Like I said, even when I transitioned to start creating content for crypto, I doubted myself too because I know it's male dominated, right? Crypto has always been like that. But I mean, just like in life, things are changing. And like for myself, I think what helped me too was again going back to Volt Inu, they were always very respectful and open, like to giving us women, because there's a lot of ladies, and even in Volt that have spaces, live or YouTube and stuff like that. That thing kind of created a little bit of a safer space. And of course, you have people who probably are like, oh, these women, what do they know, whatever. But to be honest, I feel like we're a very important part in the space,
Oh, yeah.
because although women are we're emotional beings because that's who we naturally are. But I feel like when it comes to crypto, we're not that emotional. I don't know. It's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah, you're more level-headed than us.
Yeah. So I think little by little, women are stepping up, and I feel like when the women that we are here, that we are taking, the stand in the mic and allowing other women to come, is making this space more safe, for women. I mean, you have Wendy O, you have Empress. There's a lot of women who are stepping up to it, and I think that's what it's about. It's just adapting to all of this, because at the end of the day, we're investors. It doesn't mean just because you're a man, you know more than us. It's just about, and I feel like when you work together, you could do more, you do better, So I feel like at this point where we are, I think it's a safe space for women. There's still women who are intimidated, who just kind of stay quiet and don't want to really, but again, the more that us women step up and, hey, we're here, you can grab onto this, like my friend Empress, saying boss girls, like we're here, like doesn't mean we're better than anybody. We're just trying to do more, and I think it's a beautiful thing. So I'm super excited for that. We are at this point where we're comfortable, and not just that, you're starting to get respect from both, from men and women, so it's
I definitely love it. I love that. And kind of also too, what are some of the content creators that you look up to in the space that you kind of like would like to like emulate? No, maybe you basically, not because you're going to be your own person, right? But basically like something you look up to.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, number one, Space is my girl, because I think I wouldn't have taken that leap if she was like, go ahead, girl. So I really like her. And not just that, I think I gravitate to content creators who are real. Like, who, does that make sense? Like, because I mean, I like a lot of, people, content creators, but ultimately I think, at least in my journey, because I do this, I don't think I look at someone. You can look at a creator and be like, oh, I like how they do that. That's pretty cool how they do this, and get tips. But ultimately, I know I've come to a point where I'm like, I know I have to be me. But I think I gravitate to people who are just real, and who keep it real with people too. That you're not just creating content just for a buck, and no matter if you're going to ruin people or just I'm always, of course, this is not financial advice. I always say, and I say it since day one. Like people might look at me and be like, "Oh, Latina, she don't even know what she's talking about. She's always about mental health." I don't like TA. I look at charts because you have to, but
no, not me. Yeah, TA's. I'm not your guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? That's okay. And I think when you embrace that, and because I think you have to come to a point where it's not a competition. I did a post the other day. I'm like, this is not, and you see people who will like, they're kind of side eye you, like, she thinks she's all that. I'm doing me. I'm being real with myself. I'm trying to bring something positive into the space as I continue to educate myself. So ultimately, I don't have a specific content creator. I think I gravitate to people who are just genuine and real, and who are positive too, who have that right energy,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you kind of like, pretty much kind of like do like the same thing. And I always like people that come on and like kind of do interviews and everything like that. I always like asking them kind of this question: what would be your dream interview?
Ooh, like me interviewing someone?
Yes.
You know what's so funny, Jerry?
It could be Web3 or not. It could be
okay.
anybody.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's a good question. So for me, and let me just take it back really quick to YouTube. For a while, even in Volt, again, I'm a type of person. Fun fact, I used to teach Zumba, and it was the same thing. I get bored quickly. Like, I like to change things up. And I was doing content, but then I started doing interviews, which I actually really enjoy. I started bringing like the music artists in Volt, and started just really, and that kind of went really well people tell me, oh, you're really good at interviewing. But if I had to pick, I don't know, man, that's a hard question, because I feel like, if I'm gonna be honest, I know this is gonna sound like, okay, of course she's gonna say that, but if I knew who if Voltoshi was willing to be interviewed,
Yeah.
I would want to interview him, even though, I say him, we don't know who it is, right? But I think that's someone, just because the reason I say that, well, it's for a lot of reasons, but I'm huge with looking at people and things and learning from it, right? And I just view him like the person as like someone who's like, even though he's not doxxed, but like he has a mission, he's focused, and he didn't care about the noise. He's focused, and this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna be consistent with it, and I'm disciplined, and he cares about the people. So to me, I don't know if that's ever gonna be a reality, but I would love to like.
It could be, right?
Yeah, anything is possible, right?
Yeah,
but
no, definitely.
So I know it sounds like, okay, well, but that's the first person that came to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Crypto Latina, I do appreciate you kind of like coming on though, but I do want to ask you this though. A year from now, like, where would you like to be in like content creation and life though? But like, what would be some of your goals a year from now?
In a year? Oh man. I feel like just because I've been learning, again, I always say this, everybody has speculations, right, on where we're going to be in 2024, 2025. I don't know for certain, but I feel like I don't know. I think, I'll tell you this. One of my passions is to travel, because I'm huge with like, I don't want to live the rest of my life not embracing the beauty of life, of this world, So, and one beautiful thing about being a content creator is that you can do it from anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I think I want to be able to, like really strengthen like my podcast. Like right now I'm starting with Cultura Web 3, and let maybe that expanding into something bigger, to network with a lot more Latinos in Web 3, because I know this is the future. So I think that's one thing I see. And in the future, I've always dreamt of like just doing events and traveling and empowering people, just doing stuff like that, So whether that's with a podcast platform or actually going places, that's kind of like what I see and what I would love to do. So.
No, I definitely love that. No, I definitely love that, especially the traveling part too. I would like to do some IRL content, like go to an event, like do some IRL interviews or whatever the kind of case may be. Yeah, but Crypto Latina, before you go, right? Is there anybody you want to shout out, or anybody in general you want to shout, community members, Volt people, or anything you want to say, or anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate it. Every time, I get invited, it's not taken for granted. Like, I really appreciate it and humbled by it. But definitely, of course, I'm going to shout out the Volt Army, just because, especially the people who have just stuck around and who have grown in this project, and just everybody who's stepping up. Because like I said, just to see, when you see growth and maturity in a project, and not just that, but you see the community actually like not letting um, the noise, I guess is the only way I could say it, so we don't get into that, right? Take you from your purpose or your goal, and you ignore that and you choose to be positive. Um, I see that really important, you know. So definitely a community, and just there's new people who now on X you start networking with. One of our friends, Toltani, I shout him out as well because he always says, you know, your network is your net worth, you know, and I feel like that's very important. So just everyone who's still here and still positive and growing, like that's my people, you know. So yeah, I think that's what I would have to say. Because there's too many people like
Crypto Latina.
list off people, right? But there's a lot. So
Oh yeah, no, definitely. No. Crypto Latina, I appreciate you coming on the show. And guys, this is going to wrap our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on X. Follow Crypto Latina on X, YouTube. I'll have all the stuff pinned down at the bottom. And I will see you guys around in the next one. Take care.
Thank you.